Hello everyone and Merry Christmas to you and yours. Welcome to my channel. My name is Babatani. If you are new here, please consider subscribing to my channel for cool tips on Angular and web development. Alright, in this episode, we want to look at the Control Value Accessor interface in Angular. The Control Value Accessor provides us with the power to leverage the Angular Forms API and create a bridge of communication between the Angular Forms API and the DOM element. After implementing this interface, there are 4 methods we need to consider to be able to create form control directive that integrates with Angular Forms. Number 1, the write value method. The write value method writes the value to the view if the value changes occur on the model programmatically. The second one is the register on change. When the value in the UI is changed, this method will invoke a callback function. When the element is touched, this method gets called. And lastly, this method gets called when the control status changes. Alright, let's get into the code. Alright, welcome back. This is a simple application, login application. And so we are going to begin by creating 2 components. The first one is the form container. I'm going to call this form container ng generate component and call this form container skip test. Set it to true, and this is going to be a standalone component. Alright, we have our form container right here. So let's go into our component. First thing we want to do is we want to create our form element here. So I'm going to do div code, give this a class of wrapper, and introduce my form element. I'll give it a form group name of form, and let's do ng submit. We're going to have a method called onSubmit, and we are taking form.value for this. Alright, so we need the first div label. We'll call this first name, and we need our input, and it's going to be required. Okay, just copy this here. We need another div for last name. Last name, and last name. Okay. Now we need to add our button. Okay, call this submit. Alright, so let's come over here to our forms.ts. We want to implement ng on init, so we'll do implement init, and let's implement this interface. Our form variable and our constructor, we going to use the non-null label. Right, so I'm going to create a method here, last name, and this is required. Let's add a submit method. Let's also get our form control. All right. Okay. So we have this area and it says and can't bind to form control since it's not a non-element. So we need to, because this is a standalone component, we need to add the reactive forms module here. All right, and now the error is gone. So let's display our form container. And let's lazy load our form container right here. Okay. All right, so we have our form container here and the first name, last name. Let's go to our form container, and let's call our method here. So let's add a couple of styles here. All right. So let's add a couple of general styles in our styles.ts. These styles will be applicable to every component in the application. Let's add some styles to our label. So we need to add some styles to our button. Okay. All right, looks good. And we need to add some styles for when the button is disabled. All right, cool. So let's add some validation text. To do that, we need to go to our form container and right here, first name dot invalid, and first name is daddy. You also want to check if the first name has error of required. If that's the case, please enter this. Should work fine. Just going to copy this, change this to last name. Please enter your last name. Okay, let's try this out. Nice. So let's add our class of error. Nice. So let's add another component. All right. Okay. So I'm going to copy this and head over to our form container. I'm going to import it here. Okay. So for our custom form input, take this out. I'm going to add our input here. We need to implement the Control Value Accessor, right? So just gonna go here and add input. Okay. So we need two callbacks. Number one, on change. The callback function to register when the UI changes. That's for the onChange. And we need another callback to register when element is touched, and that will be untouched. Okay, nice. So for our register onChange, we are going to this dot onChange is equals to fn function, and also for this as well, this dot untouched, we are going to this. We're not going to use this. Take it out, and for the right value, we are going to add our input here. So we are saying this dot input is equals to input here. Okay, so let's come over here in our custom form input, and right here I'm going to add the model. Can't bind to engine model, we need to call our engine model. It's just going to call the forms module. That should solve the problem. Okay, all right, we are almost done with this, but we need to add the providers, and we are setting multi the true. So if you check right here, we have our first name, last name, and our address. This address initially wasn't part of the form container, but we took this custom form input, added it here, even though it's not part of the form container, and we are also getting the value of this custom form input. So let's wrap this up by adding the form control here, which is the address, and we also need to get the address. And right here as well, address. There's a way you can make this error messages dynamic. I'm going to create a tutorial for that. Okay, so let's test this out. Anna Bakley and Washington. Okay, cool. So we need to add the blur method. Alright, so we need to add form control name, address. Alright, okay, let's check this out. And alright, alright, that's it for today's episode. And if you like this video, please subscribe to this channel, and in our next video we're going to look at how we can use Control Value Accessor for a nested form. Yeah, catch you on the next one. Bye for now.